Oh, bonjour, mon ami. Bienvenue, café avec Etienne. Don't worry, this one's not in French, but I was feeling a little Francois this morning. The week's blog this time for Coffee with Stephen is entitled To the Future and Beyond, and it deals with a concept in international relations called madman theory. And don't worry if you happen to be a Trump supporter, while this largely does revolve around Donald Trump and the concept of madman theory, it's actually quite complementary. So one thing that's important to understand, the concept of madman theory isn't new. It's been around for quite some time. And there is a legitimate distinction between what would best be described as the general parlance of somebody who's suffering from a mental deficiency and someone who is, in fact, a rational actor, but has largely become unpredictable. And as a result of their unpredictability, they actually are able to achieve tremendous results. Sometimes it becomes somewhat predictable because they are in fact unpredictable, and that creates an interesting problem. This inspiration for this blog, interestingly enough, didn't come from our shores. It came from a discussion that I was reading about Donald Trump specifically, from a group of professors at the London School of Economics for International Politics, and they were discussing this, sort of interesting concept of madman theory. Now, there's a number of nation-state leaders as well as, individuals that are engaged in what could best be described as non-governmental actor, and these are both benign as well as malevolent. Non-governmental actor could be everything from an international aid organization to a malevolent side where it's an international terrorist organization. And oftentimes, people that are not necessarily involved in what they are doing may find their actions so reprehensible that they consider the individuals participating in them to be irrational. And that is actually dangerous because they may very well be rational, but their actions are so atrocious, one would think that it would result in international condemnation, and yet it doesn't always manifest that way. Other times, certain people's actions are entirely predictable, and yet the outcome is so many variables attached to it that you end up getting a completely unpredictable outcome. Donald Trump, interestingly enough, is utilizing this concept of unpredictability to really generate massive changes, specifically as it relates in the Middle East, but also with China and Europe. Anyways, the blog sort of explores this entire concept. Anyway, I hope you do enjoy the blog. A slight departure from what we normally talk about, but I felt it was important. As always, train constantly, train consistently, train repetitively, and train with purpose. Above all else, stay safe.